But in terms of the trend of like Indiegogo and things like that, do you think that's going to be something that will take over eventually?
I support it. I support innovation, and I support self-starting companies. I do not support robot dogs that can kill you in your sleep. But
that's the beauty of Indiegogo. You can choose what you support.
So people can bring on their own deaths as opposed to corporations. Yeah. But like, I don't. Okay, I think like all these smaller companies that are starting up and like doing all their things on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, what you call it,
Kickstarter,
GoFundMe, things like that.
Yeah.
Like they're never ever gonna topple down the big guy. Mm-hmm. That's why people go to Shark Tank and shit like that.
But it's not meant to topple down the.
Yeah. But like it's nice that they have their own sect. It's nice
that's it's not gonna topple down the big guy. It's to allow the little guy a chance to have a voice as well too.
Yes. Yeah. So like it's nice that like even for something like this to exist, like something like this wouldn't have existed like 15 years ago. Even like we would have to have got approval from networks, and like licenses, and we have to like apply for something on TCS or MediaCorp, whatever you call it.
Plus, there was no YouTube back in 2000.
That too, but like it's just like it's nice that nowadays anyone can have a voice. Right. In general, like it's nice that people can have the freedom to work at something they believe in and give it out to the world.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think about now how much money I've given to like these crowdfunding.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you support that?
I do. Like I support things on Patreon. Have you heard of Patreon? Mm-hmm. Patreon's great. Like I just feel like every frame of painting. Take my couple dollars a month. You guys are great.
Right.
I love technology because particularly with the Apple iCloud, I love
not Dropbox, the Apple iCloud.
Yeah, I mean I love Dropbox too, but I love how everything gets synced everywhere. So because of that, I can make an appointment on my iCal and it gets synced onto my iPad, my iPod even, my iPhone, and on my laptop, so I never have to fear that I'm going to miss an appointment because it all syncs everywhere, and it does it really automatically. And so that has been a great lifesaver for me, and it's a life changer because growing up, I'm a lot older than I look, but
we both are.
Yeah, and I growing up, and Dwayne will know this, we kind of grew up with pagers, so it was very. It was we didn't have the technologies to say we want to. We can record our calendars and stuff like this in a particular place, and it will get if we forget to bring it, we still remember where it's going to be, whereas whenever we bring one device, we know everything that we have.
It's amazing. And even when you switch phones now, all your passwords, for example, with Apple go along with it. So if you walk into a zone with a Wi-Fi that you've entered a password before, you would get your Wi-Fi without having to enter it again.
Exactly.
It's amazing that way. However, it's so that's helped you. But I know for me, like there was once where I was syncing my phone to my computer, and then I think it synced backwards where it was empty on my computer and then all the files on my phone got erased because it thought I wanted to sync that way. Mm-hmm. Has anything like that ever happened to you?
Actually, no, because it almost did, but you sometimes have to read it super carefully, and I read it super carefully, and I went, it's going to respond this way if I tick this box, so I need to not. And so you need to understand when it comes to technology, which is the motherboard or whatever, where the mothership, and that everything always has to respond to the mothership and not reversed. So once you reverse it, then the chain of command goes topsy-turvy, and that's when you kind of lose things. But once you understand that concept, I don't think you can go really wrong with it.
Oh, so you've never had a hard disk crash, or have had encountered you back up all the time?
I have had a hard disk crash, but I always back up. And guys, always back up. It happened to Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. It could happen to you. You always have to back up. And I want to say, a lot of people back up every day. I don't. I confess I back up probably once a week. But I mean, if you have a heavy flow of influx of new material, I would say that's when you really want to back up. If not, do it once a week, and
it for you it's important because you write papers and things like that. And so
I do. I write a lot of research papers, so yes, for sure.
Have you accidentally sent the wrong text or picture once anytime?
No, but I've done embarrassing things like sending a multiple job application and not changing the name, so it goes to something sent to like San Francisco State University goes to San Diego, and it's like
you can't take it back. I wish they would create that where you have the right to take it back sometimes.
I know.
Because,
I wish so too.
Let's talk a little bit about your watch. It's by who? Garmin?
Garmin, they specialize in GPS.
Okay,
yeah,
could
the
you
one you saw earlier.
Right, I'll put links below as well. Could you tell us a bit about this watch and how helpful and useful it is? GPS, aside from GPS, what does it
But
do?
any GPS watch is very helpful if you do cardio related exercises or outdoor activity in general. If you go running, trail running, hiking. I mean, this watch that I bought is actually it can do everything. It can even measure the altitude. It has a compass. It can measure the pressure.
Right, wow.
Yeah.
Can it tell if the rain's coming? No.
Well, if the pressure changes, you know that the weather is changing as well.
Right.
For swimming as well, if you do triathlon, for example, I mean, it tells you anything. It tells you how fast you're going, the distance you're going, the pace you're going at. So it's really easy to know, you know, how fast or how long, what distance you're gonna do.
Right.
For a 10K run, for example, if you go at this pace, how many kilometers can I do in what particular time, etc. So it's very easy to monitor your performance,
Right.
even while running, which is very helpful. Yeah, so afterwards you can also connect that watch to your laptop or to your phone,
Right.
and
Wow.
yeah, you can monitor everything on your phone. And
How much does something like that cost?
well, in ringgit it would be around 1,700, the lowest price for this particular watch.
Right.
Yeah, because it's the latest model, the Phoenix 3. But you can get the Garmin Forerunner 15, which is a very good watch as well. But it's only for GPS and activity tracker, which is I bought it in Singapore last time for $200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can get
not so
a
expensive.
very good watch for $200.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about gay apps like Grindr and Netiquette
Okay.
and things like that? Since it's related, because it's all social media, right?
Right.
In a sense. What do you feel about those things? Like, for example, people's agenda on these things. I mean, it's okay to look for a good time, but I feel like there can be instances where people just ask, like, cockpick, please.
Yeah.
You know, is that like, would you feel that just because it's a gay app that is seen
It's
as
okay.
there are some people who are, you know, looking for a certain type of thing, doesn't mean that everybody is there to
Okay.
so what
As a personal social experiment, right?
Right.
I actually created a Tinder profile
Okay.
that was heterosexual.
Right.
Okay. So firstly, I just want to clarify. I'm
yeah, and the
totally gay.
comparison between that and
Yeah.
the
No, actually, so amongst the straight people, right?
Right.
They are pretty much transactional in terms of their engagement with the apps. By transactional, I mean things like it's very much cut to the chase, very direct. I'm here for sex, and that's it.
even with the girls.
Even with the girls. So
Right.
I've had girls who, you know, you swipe left, swipe right to indicate your interest and everything,
Right,
right?
right.
And they straight away go. I've had girls ask me straight away, like, "What's the size of your dick? How big is
Wow.
it? Is it uncut?
Okay.
Do you do unprotected
Obviously
sex?
don't have
Send a
that
pic."
experience.
Yeah. So I tried that for a day. It was quite amusing for me, right?
Right.
And girls themselves can be pretty wild. Yeah.
Okay, I was
So-
just gonna
so-
say,
so-
I
so
thought
I've had-
men
I've-
were the hornier
No.
beings, and the
No.
two men together, of course, you know, you
Yeah.
would. Okay.
That stemmed out from a conversation that I was having with friends, right? Because pretty much the same point that you had. Is it only the gay community that's like that? No, so no. Even the straight boys and girls are doing it too.
I find it a bit violating in a sense, because even if you go to, say, a gay bar, for example,
Right.
the fact that men think that they can just reach out.
Right.
I mean, some people are okay with it, which is fine, but then just because I'm at a gay bar, it doesn't mean that my crotch is for everybody to touch, you know, or for anyone to touch. So in the same way, on the gay, I feel like it's a bit disrespectful in terms of
Right.
being human to just go, where are you? Or, you know, it's like, what about me has given you the idea that I want you to know where I stay, the first
Right.
thing, right?
Right.
It's a bit like, what
Okay.
the mentality, where does this come from, and what and do you think it's okay?
Okay. I feel that people adopt different personas
Okay.
with different platforms,
Right,
right?
so they not necessarily be like that in
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, the one thing about your dating apps, okay, and I'm addressing this to all dating apps, right?
Okay.
It's as personal as it can get because it appears on your mobile, right?
Right.
Again, this makes me sound a bit of a dinosaur, but back when I first came out, right, sharing your phone number with somebody was as personal as you can get. I
Right.
don't know whether you remember that, even as friends, right?
Yeah,
To
it
share,
is. It
right?
is.
So, that kind of personal boundaries.
Your
kind
pager number.
Pager number. So those kind of personal boundaries kind of fall down when you are engaging with somebody on an app that's expressly for hooking up, and a lot of them are very direct. You know,
Right. So that's
stuff like where they ask you where you stay. It's not so much of wanting to know where you stay.
No, of course, they just wanna know how-
as opposed to how far you are.
so that I
in
can have
terms
sex
of-
with you soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, so well, basically yes. I guess if you look at it
Yep.
that way, then it's
Yep.
acceptable in a sense.
I'm not saying that the lack of manners is a right thing,
Right.
but it's just that when people are horny, they really want to get to it, lah.
Yeah, I
Right,
guess so.
Yeah. With Facebook, right, that has kind of become the very proper social way of getting to know people online now, right?
Right.
But then you have Grindr, which is the total opposite. With Facebook, you put up pictures of your friends, your face, and everything is all up there. Your entire life is on Facebook.
Right.
With Grindr, it's usually like a bot pic, whereby it's like here,
Yeah.
and then it's all about sex. Right?
Bronze.
So
and sex.
So it's like, I think people's mentality kind of shifts. Like when I'm on Grindr, it's okay to be rude. It's good, or rather, it's okay to be direct.
Right.
It is okay to just talk about cocks and balls and
Right.
stuff. Which
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
Right,
yeah.
fine. But then the other thing, okay, you can read those if you want to. The other thing is, now that all these things are happening, like with people are sending their nudies all
Right.
across all of that internet freeway, I've seen like some other sites pop out, like Tumblr sites where there's like Singapore men nude,
yeah.
And so all
I
your
actually know
nudies,
some of the admins for that.
You do, okay.
Yeah, I do.
So they started it to promote that. What do you think about that though? And it's for those people who are, well, obviously, do you think it's a violation of privacy? I mean, if you send your nudes,
Yep.
is that basically you're sending out to the world, or do you still consider it as if you send your nudes to someone, that person is still responsible for being respectful about your nudes, or do you think it's a free market?
Okay. Firstly, right, being very practical here. If you send your nudes to somebody, be prepared to lose it.
Right.
And I am speaking from personal experience, which I probably shouldn't state that here, but my nudes are out there online as well.
I have seen them.
Okay. Yeah, so my news are out there, right? And a lot of my friends have gotten very upset. But to me, it's like, come on, I should have known better, right?
Yeah.
I've taken a very sanguine and very zen approach to it. See my news, now.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But if you don't want it out there, don't share it with anybody.
At all, right?
Yeah. Which is why I think Snapchat is so popular, because Snapchat is supposed to auto-delete your picture because of
Right,
that.
but then there are apps where you can sort of still download it and stuff like that.
So people will always get around it, right? So the first rule of being online, right? If you don't want it out there, don't put it out there.
Yeah.
Right? This not only applies to new
anything,
new pictures,
even
but
any of your
anything,
thoughts,
right?
or whatever.
Secondly, yes, okay, in terms of common decency, human decency, yes, the person whom you sent it to should feel that sense of personal responsibility.
Interesting. And then some of these notes also get sold. I don't know. I'm sure there are websites
Yes.
which is another
Yep.
horrible thing.
Yep.
Which
You have people actually profiting off nudes.
yeah.
They do that.
And then I
Which
don't
is-
even know. But then there are other sites which take them down, which also profit, even though they're doing a good thing. But I feel like they're also profiting from like.
Well,
what can be done, right? Some were.
oh yeah, that is true.
What is that? Some were.
Yeah. So some of these news that were sent into the Tumblr pages, right? And again, I know a few of these like Tumblr admins.
Oh, they themselves want to feature their own.
yeah,
notes.
because they want the
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine then.
no. All right, so that's fine. But
So-
I think one thing which all the Tumblr admins do adhere to is if you see your picture there and you're not comfortable with it, get them to take it down.
Right.
But the problem about Tumblr is once it starts being shared, you can't control it anymore. It's kind of become a whole
Yeah,
beast.
it does. It gets. There are
Yeah.
other sites that leech onto Tumblr sites
Yeah.
and have like a duplicate sort of a site as
Yeah.
well, right?
What we are talking about is actually more in terms of piracy.
It is piracy. It's a
Right?
thing to do with piracy because it's copyright. Your pictures are your
Yeah.
copyright. It's so interesting. Podcasting.
Podcasting.
How did you guys get started?
Awesome.
What inspired you? Who
Yeah.
you listened to? Why did you? And how did it come together?
Awesome.
I have lots of questions, but that's just a start.
So again, I feel like maybe we haven't super introduced ourselves like super clearly. So
Okay.
John and Nathan,
That's
we have
true.
a podcast together. It's the
that's why
First,
they're here.
Why
It's
are
called-
his ears so
It's
fucked?
called
Focus, Nathan.
Good Hang, and
Yes.
you can find them on iTunes as
Right
well as
here.
you kind of stop your episodes on SoundCloud. I don't know. It's like what
That's
happened
his
with that?
fault. That's his fault.
Okay, so
Anyway, iTunes so far.
Okay,
SoundCloud. I don't
basically, podcast John is an avid listener of podcasts. I'm an avid listener of podcasts. We've been listening to them for at least 5-6 years now.
Yeah, longer for me.
Yeah, and it's just been like a really cool alternative to listening to music on the commute, on the way to school, jogging, whatever. So like it has always kind of crossed my mind, at least for the last 3 years, like why isn't there like an active podcast in Singapore based around pop culture, and just like an entertaining show, that kind of thing, where it's not educational. I mean, where it's not like a university lecture, or it's not like a Christian what do you call those things, like daily like one of those like Christian daily bread things. Yeah. Like, because when I looked up, because I was so curious, like I was so into podcasts, and I was like, Singapore needs, like, they have to have some,
right?
So I looked it up, and there were none.
Because what a podcast is, and like again, I'm just, for someone who's never even heard of a podcast is just like, it's basically an audio show. It can come with different topics. It's just usually 1, 2, or 3 people talking about whatever. Sometimes some have more structure, some have less.
Yeah.
But basically, just like, what's that porn rule again? Like, any fetish you might have, there's gonna be a porn about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Any interest you might have, there's gonna be a podcast about it. I guarantee it.
Like, literally, if you just watched a movie, or if you just read a book, or if you're particularly into a certain band, if you just search on like the podcast app, by the way, if you have an iPhone, it's there by default.
Yes.
Like, it's just gonna be there. Go to the podcast app and like search it, like look up Great Expectations. I just read that and I really loved it. You will find like a list of different podcasts that will either talk about it, review it, discuss it, have a whole themed episode about it. Conversation with
cleavage.
I'm indecent. I was gonna pull
Is there a podcast about cleavage?
I'm sure there is.
I'm positive it's like the Cleavecast. Yeah. Finally, it was like, if no one's gonna do it, like someone's gotta do like something. So like I knew John listened to tons of podcasts, and I knew John was like a talker, and I knew like we had very similar interests.
Not wrong.
So I just texted him like, it'd be really cool if like someone did a podcast in Singapore, and like John just texted back like yeah, I'd be so down. And it was pretty much like a couple of meetings, couple of trial runs. We figured
the trial ones were fun.
Yeah, it's like, and we kind of figured that we had a rhythm.
Right.
We could go on for like 90 minutes or more.
Yeah.
Some of them are 2 hours.
Yes.
Right, so in the opposite, it's podcasting for us is the opposite of YouTube, where ours is like super spread out. Exactly, like we said, over 2 hours. So how do we reach people? I don't know.
No, but how did you get started in the first place? Like, so how did you know where to put it on? For anybody.
The real like nitty gritty.
Yeah, all the technical stuff.
That took a while, man. I thought it was gonna be that took a while. I legit thought it was gonna be pretty easy.
Right.
But like John and I would spend like hours over like Skype or on like a dinner table just trying to figure shit out.
Trial and error.
Like small little things that bothered us, like, why is like the description, why is like HTML code in there? Or like when an episode comes out, like why is there no sound? Or like when you post something on the website, why does it come out weird? Like there's a lot of tiny little technicalities that I think everyone just needs to figure out on their own.
But basically, was your first episode that you recorded something you went, okay, this is it?
Well, we recorded 2 trial episodes.
Okay.
The first one, the first trial episode was like pretty much almost like the second or third time that we met about like discussing the podcast, and we just jumped straight into it. We realized that like it was cool. Don't know if we're gonna release it, but it was interesting. Like it was an interesting experience to like talk for a prolonged amount of time.
And I think what Nathan and I, why we work well together is that there's so many things that we're kind of just on board with. Like we almost have like a link. Like I don't think we ever articulated it, or I'm sure we did eventually. But like
we're both wildly racist.
Super racist. Yeah. Particularly against brown people.
Women are the worst. Like women should not be allowed to
and then
do
like
anything.
Women of color, it's like, what are you doing?
Like why even speak?
Wait, they don't know that. We're joking. This is new to them. No, we're so joking.
These guys
so joking. I love women. I love women more than I love myself.
It'll come back.
So yeah, the podcast, the way I see it, it's also why it's called Good Hang. It's like Nathan and I, every time we would hang out, we have so much to talk about, so many things that we had in common. But like over the course of years, we wouldn't see each other very often. Like either he was in the States or I was in the States or whatever. So eventually, when he started settling down here and I was already settled here, it's like, we should do this thing. And I'm like, yeah. It's like, so every week, it's like we get together and we talk about what people who haven't seen each other in a week or in a while talk about. We talk about politics, what we've been up to that week.
It's funny, you even you catch up while doing the podcast.
That's basically it.
Podcasts in general, it's definitely not a thing that I anticipated being a massively popular medium. Because, I mean, it's niche worldwide, and in Singapore it's even more niche, even
Right.
more so. I mean,
So you have to develop the podcasting.
yeah. So like,
listeners.
I mean, like, I knew for a fact that majority of my audience would not be vaguely interested in this podcast because
Right.
like, and like, I think it's fair to say that a good fraction of my audience don't even understand English that well,
Right.
because you know I have done stuff in
Indonesia.
different countries. Yeah.
Right.
So it was not like a commercial decision. It wasn't like, oh, you like me? Well,
Yeah.
this. No, it was
Yeah.
more like an itch that I think we both needed to scratch.
Absolutely.
And like it was the kind of thing where it's like wanted to do it, so just hunker down and like fucking do it.
Yeah, and then from
Yeah.
there, I mean, we do the usual promoting these. We go on Facebook and stuff. We do our best, but like honestly, it's these guys who are doing our main promotion. Like they'll show it to their
Yeah.
friends, and who will get
Aw.
into it.
We
So-
don't buy ads on the Straits Times. They probably wouldn't let us.
Yeah, probably
But
because like again, it's the nature of podcasting. It's like he might have a big audience, but the people who listen to you get to know you intimately.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like 2 hours a week that's
Yes.
we're in your ears, and
Right.
I couldn't be more grateful to these people who are calling me
Yeah.
a misogynist.